What's going on, you guys? Thank you for tuning in for another episode of JB Trickle RC, and thank you for tuning in for actually this is part 2 of my tire tech and prep issue series that I'm doing. The first episode, if you already missed it, I took you through my steps of prepping the wheels and tires, getting them glued together, and this video is going to be covering the next step that I use, which is actually going to be the tire balancing step. Okay, so we're going to go through and I'm going to show you my process and tutorial of balancing an RC wheel and tire. Is this a necessary thing to do? You ask a couple different people, you're going to get different answers. I personally know a couple racers that don't. I do. I've been doing it off and on over the years, depending on what class I'm running, things of that nature. So I do think it's a benefit. And here's why. If you take a tire that's unbalanced, and if it's got a heavy spot, most will, that tire is going to have a lot more shake, and it's always going to be fighting itself a little bit because it's going to have a heavy spot compared to a balanced tire. So if I spin an unbalanced tire, it's going to settle in the same place every time. It's going to have a heavy spot. You balance a tire, that tire is going to just want to spin on its own and do its own thing. It's going to take some of the shakiness and wobble out of it. An unbalanced tire, you're usually going to see a lot of wobbling. Even a balanced tire, a brand new tire, you're probably going to still see a little bit of wobble because the foam is not settled and the rubber itself has not been settled. It hasn't been ran on the track. You know, it usually takes a little bit of wear on a tire to get them to come in properly. But balancing the tire is going to help that process. The tires all around going to perform a little bit better, in my opinion. And, you know, whenever we're chasing tents, whether you're an oval racer or you're a drag racer or whatever, you know, any little bit helps. You know, any little bit, if you can shave another tenth off from doing this or whatever, it's going to benefit you. It's going to help you. So that's the course of this video. That's going to be the purpose of this video, is showing you my balancing process. And like in all my tutorials, I just got to let you guys know this is my process. This is the process that I've used for several years. Whenever I've done some balancing of tires, it's always served me well. So my way of doing things is not the only way of doing things. My specific tool that I'm using is not the only balancing tool that you can use. So, but I want to share my method with you guys. If you're a newer racer and want to know how to do this, or even if you're an experienced racer, but you haven't had to prep your own tires yet, you're getting into that. You're running a class now where you can't buy pre-mounts, or your buddy can't do your tires anymore. Hopefully this video helps some of you guys out with that. And that's the purpose of my channel. Promoting what we do, showing tutorials, helping the racers, entertaining the experienced racers, you know, entertaining by showing some of our race footage and things of that nature. I'm here to help, and that's what I'm going to try to do with this video. So again, hopefully this will help some of you out there. But with all that said, let's get right to it. And here we are. I've got a Dubro tire balancer. There's several different tire balancers that you can get. You know, this one's got, you know, the stick that sits on the two spinning wheels on each side. They got some that are set up completely different. They got some handheld tire balancers. Realistically, it doesn't really matter. I prefer a stationary kit like this because I actually put a level before I had it set up to actually do this process. Had a level on it to make sure it was level and, you know, obviously. But as you can see here, we're sliding the tire on and everything. Some people actually run the little hex inserts inside there too, but the diameter, the whole diameter of this was plenty big enough so the cones on these, you know, were able to seat on the wheel without issue. So we're going to get everything slid on, put on, then we're going to go ahead and start the balancing process. And essentially what we're going to do here is we're going to spin the tire once we get it situated on there, and we're going to wait to see how the tire comes to rest. Odds are the tire is going to be out of balance. I have mounted some before, and they were just about perfectly balanced. But that's not the majority of the time. If you're looking to balance the tires, you're going to do it way more often than not. That is my balancing clay. You can order that online. Most of your local hobby shops are going to have it. That's what it's for. It's a wheel balancing clay. You can use shoe goo. People have used shoe goo. People have used lead weights. People have shoe gooed washers in place before, things of that nature. I've got a silver paint pen. That's what I'm going to do to mark my tire, so I'll know the opposite end of the heavy side of the tire, so we can start adding our balancing clay. And then I've got an X-Acto knife in case we put too much clay on. We need to remove a little bit, and I had those popsicle sticks there to help me apply that balancing clay, and didn't really need it. This balancing clay, I think, I can't help but feel like this balancing clay, that's a fresh bottle, may have been aged. I may have gotten an older one and off the shelf or something. It was a little hard. It wasn't fully dried out or anything, but it was harder than the balancing clay that I've used in the past. But anyway, we're going to get that tire spinning. You can see right now how that tire's kind of rocking. That's going to happen a little bit, okay? There's a couple reasons for that. One, yes, part of that could be the tire and wheel being out of balance. The other part is that's a brand new tire that we just glued on. I did roll it across the table, but that's it. So although we know that the foam is in there okay and the tire's on there okay and there's no, foam laying over nothing, that hasn't really settled yet. There hasn't been any track use. You could have some abnormal looks to the tire. But what we're doing right now is we're waiting on that tire to come to a stop and get settled, which is still rocking out and back a little bit. And if it's going out and back, that's a telltale sign, okay? So the heaviest spot was down. So whenever we spun it, you could see the tire rocking both directions, trying to find that heavy spot, and it finally settled. On the low side is your heavy spot. So I'm going to take that paint marker, and I'm going to mark on the top side of the wheel, opposite of the heavy spot, above where the balancing axle is there. So now we know that's the opposite side of the heavy spot, and we know that that's where we're going to start applying this balancing compound. This balancing compound, I like to go little at a time. I find it easier to keep adding. Than having to cut it away. I've done it both ways before, and we'll get to that in the video a little bit later as well. But I've had pretty good luck with this, but we're going to take a little bit. We're going to start placing it in there, and we're going to rebalance it and check it. And I'm going to speed up some of the spinning footage because you don't have to spin that tire like real hard or anything like that. Just give it a spin, let it kind of spin, settle, do its own thing, and that's going to tell you what the tire needs and where it's at, where you need to balance it. So now you can see that we're putting that first little bit of the balancing clay right below where that I marked the top of the wheel there, and we're going to go put it back on the spinner and go. Another tip I want to give you here about this area now. Whenever you mark that area, you want to try to get your clay as centered as you can among that mark as well. Because if you go to the left of it or you go to the right of it, it's still going to be kind of off balance. You're going to be kind of chasing it. So try to put it kind of center where you got the mark. That's just a tip from me to you. That's always helped me tremendously. So now we're going to give that tire another little spin. We're going to speed up the process again, like we talked about earlier, because I don't want to have you just keep on waiting to see where that's at. And so it's starting to slow down again, and you can see it's going to start rocking again. So it's rocking both directions again, so that means it's still heavy, and the side that we marked previously is still on top. So that means currently, even with adding the balancing clay to that area, the heavy spot still exists on the wheel. What does that mean? The wheel and tire. That means that it's still out of balance. So we're going to pull that back off. We're going to grab some more balancing clay. And again, I'm only taking a little bit at a time. I don't want to throw too much at it. And again, if you put too much, you can remove material. It's the reverse of what we're doing now, and we'll talk about that here shortly too. Another thing I try to do too, I try to get it low. I'm trying to kind of press it into that corner where it meets and getting it as low as I can too. But kind of getting that settled, and then we're going to set it on and spin it for a balance again and see what happens once we get that settled in there where we want it. And again, that's just me trying to get it, positioned where I want it. I want it to try to kind of maintain like a low profile. And just like before, we're going to put it back on the balancer. We're going to give it another spin. We're going to speed up that footage again. That way you're not sitting here waiting on that thing to come to a slow rest again. Again, I'm not spinning it hard, but still. All right, so we're checking it again. What's it doing? And it's rocking out and back. And that time I was kind of testing a little bit. I was moving the wheel a little bit and then seeing if it would go back. So it's still heavy right there. So what does that mean? We go back to the balancing clay. We're going to pull a little bit more off again. You're going to do the same thing. We're going to get it set in that area. I'm going to get it spread out. I'm trying to keep, like I said, low and as low as and into that corner of the wheel as I can. And what we're looking for to get a properly balanced tire is you want that tire to slow down on it spinning and come to a slow and even rest without it rocking. And you want that balancing clay to be on the left or the right side. Okay, because if it was top or bottom, that means it's still fighting greater than or something like that to the original heavy spot. So here we go. We're slowing down. And that clay is going to come to rest right there on the left side with very little to no rock back. That's a successful tire balance. That tire is ready to rock and roll. It's got a good balance on it. That's what you're looking for. That's what you want. It may take several times. This job can be a bit tedious. You may have to cut some away. You may have to add more, so on and so forth. But that's essentially what you're going to look at, and you can spin it again to see if it's still that way, just to be sure. Now, I want to give you an example here. What if we put too much clay on? So what I did right here is I purposefully went back on a different wheel and tire, and I put too much clay. And so now the heavy spot's where the clay is. So I'm just going to go in, remove a little bit, and you're going to do the same process we just did, but kind of backwards. Now you're removing the clay instead of adding it. And then we're going to put it back on, and then we're going to spin it again, just like before, and you're going to keep doing that until that clay ends up on the left or the right side and the tire comes to a nice, slow, and even movement. Now, another thing that I want to point out here too, this is just another tip that I like to do. Once I think I've got a wheel balanced, like, you know, it'll stop spinning and that balancing clay is going to be on the left or the right side and the tire came to a nice, slow, smooth stop without rocking, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it around manually, and then I'm going to move my hand, see if the tire stays. So you can see right there, there's a little bit of rocking, just a slight amount, and then I'm going to let go, and it's going to settle so that balancing clay is once again on that left side. Great. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it around to another position, and we're going to let the tire go again. And let's see if the tire is going to roll or rock or anything like that. So I'm going to let go. So it's kind of sitting there again. And what this little test right here I'm doing, now I'm moving it to the right side. I'm going to let go of the tire again. Let's see if it stays there. And it does. So what I'm basically doing is this is a way to just kind of do the fine check. After you went through that entire balancing process, if you use that method there, you're going to be able to see and verify that the tire is pretty well balanced. Because if it wasn't, if it still had a heavy spot on the opposite end of one of those areas, that tire would just spin again. And I just want to show too, on these drag wheels, a buddy of mine did. My buddy Tyler actually balanced these. I'm going to use this as an example. And yes, Tyler, I did rebalance your tire that you gave me. That's right. That's right. I just had to double check and make sure. But I just want you to show you the tire balanced well. Tyler did a great job balancing it, but occasionally you will end up putting some balancing clay in more than one position. That is a possibility, but I just want to show you that as well. Well, everyone, I hope that video, somebody out there found that video helpful. Again, whether you're a newer racer or an experienced racer that's just never done your own tires, I'm just hoping that this video is going to be able to help somebody. And again, my method of doing this, there's other ways of doing it, but I did want to share my method with you in hopes of helping somebody. And guys, too, just to let you know, if you like what you're doing, you've been following the channel a little bit, you've been in and out, you're not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. That helps me kind of keep account of how many subscribers I got, how many people that I'm helping, and the reach that I'm making of being able to, you know, try to promote the various hobbies that we do on this channel. If you haven't already, consider hitting that bell icon that's right next to that subscribe button. What the bell icon does is it notifies you of every time I have a new upload. That'll help you follow the channel a little bit easier, and so on and so forth. Also, I want to get a little bit more interaction on my channel. So if this tutorial or any other previous tutorial or any other videos that you've watched that you've found helpful or entertaining, please throw a comment in the comment section. I like hearing back from my viewers. I try to reply and communicate with every comment. And, you know, I try to be there and you know, be able to exchange conversation with you guys through the comment section as well. So please consider doing that, throwing a thumbs up, a like on the video as well if you're finding it helpful. And lastly, if you found it helpful and you got some buddies that you think might find any of my tutorials that I've done helpful, consider sharing, you know, sharing through your social media pages, things of that nature. That helps me continue to help more people. It helps promote the channel. Promoting the channel helps me to continue promoting what we all love to do, and that's the RC racing hobby, doing tutorials and help with videos like this. So it just helps me engage with a bigger audience, and it will help me promote the sport that way. But guys, as always, I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you. You guys keeping me motivated. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the feedback. As always, guys, we got plenty more videos coming your way, some more racing, some more tutorials, and all that coming soon. But again, I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll catch you guys next time.